For Telesur, I'm Cody Weddle in Caracas, Venezuela. We start in Mexico, where political and public pressure continues to mount on the governor of Guerrero, Ángel Aguirre Rivero. Many have demanded he step down immediately following the disappearance of 43 students and lack of official response. The state of Guerrero has long struggled with problems of violence, organized crime, and self-defense forces. The latest incident came on September 26 when police and masked gunmen shot at students traveling in 3 buses. The shots killed 6, and during the commotion, the group were allegedly abducted by police and organized crime members. Even Aguirre's party leadership has asked him to resign. In the meantime, President Enrique Peña Nieto has ordered his cabinet to step up actions to find the missing students. And staying with this story, thousands of protesters marched in the town of Acapulco on Friday, demanding the safe return of the students. Many protesters also called for the resignation of Aguirre. Demonstrators hold out hopes that they are alive and have pledged to blockade city halls throughout the state until the students are found. The whole country continues to closely watch as civil unrest unfolds. To Venezuela now. Following the assassination of Venezuelan Congressman Robert Serra, President Nicolas Maduro has revealed that Colombian paramilitary groups were behind the crime. Our correspondent in Colombia, Charles Parkinson, continues investigating the spread of right-wing Colombian violence into Venezuela.
For Carlos Lozano, director of Newsweekly Voz and a member of organisation Colombians for Peace, the news that the paramilitaries who murdered Venezuelan deputy Robert Serra were connected to Colombia came as little surprise.
It didn't surprise us because paramilitarism has always played a negative destabilizing role in the Bolivarian process. Since the time of Commander Chavez, it must be remembered that several years ago on a farm near Caracas, various Colombian paramilitaries were detained on a farm, a paramilitary group.
The revelations emerged during a televised public address by Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, in which he named 8 people linked to the assassination, including Serra's own head of security. This attempt to destabilize the country also appears linked to the advances made in Colombia's peace process.
An unstable Venezuela means an unstable peace process in Colombia. And obviously, an unstable peace process in Colombia means the security conditions are going to worsen a lot. Worse than they are now, along the border, because the conflict will intensify once again.
While 2 of the men wanted in relation to Serra's killing have been caught, 6 remain at large, and the name of the Colombian mastermind has yet to be revealed. This is just the latest example of Colombian paramilitarism extending its tentacles into neighbouring Venezuela. And with Nicolas Maduro warning that other members of his government continue to be targets, there could yet be more violence to come. Charles Parkinson, Telesur, in Bogotá, Colombia.
And thanks to Charles, farm workers and subsistence farmers in Honduras continue facing a serious food crisis. Many say the Honduran government has done little to help. Recently, groups have mobilized in protest. As our correspondent Gerardo Torres reports, many have accused the government of turning its back on small farmers.
There is no support. A government campaign called Live Better is a total lie. More than 76,000 families that were affected by the drought haven't received any support.
This year, a long-lasting drought affected all of Central America. In Honduras, more than 380,000 persons are actually suffering great difficulty.
The government approved $7.5 million for agricultural production, but the same 19 businessmen that broke the National Bank of Agricultural Development, Banadesa, are the ones that took all these millions.
In the last 4 years in Honduras, more than 100 campesinos have been killed because of land-related conflicts. Almost 400,000 are suffering hunger. Thursday, they demanded the approval of an agrarian reform law that they presented to the National Congress in May this year. But there has been still no response from the deputies yet. Gerardo Torres, Telesur, Central America.
And thanks to Gerardo, the Cuban medical brigade sent to Sierra Leone to aid with controlling the Ebola virus that has spiraled out of control, killing over 4,600 people and infecting close to 9,000, has begun its efforts in Freetown. Our correspondent Oscar Epelde is there with the information.
They are the 165 Cuban doctors and healthcare workers training to treat Ebola patients in Sierra Leone hospitals. Most of them have previously worked in Pakistan and IT, and those raising their hands come right from Venezuela.
They all stepped up. They were chosen out of thousands full of men to come here. Yes, if you were afraid, then you know you have to be safe. As long as you are well protected and you meet the standards, the risk of contracting Ebola is virtually zero.
Every day, there are more and more cases, and local health workers already know the coming months will be decisive in order to bring the outbreak under control. This house is located in quarantine area, and 4 out of 8 affected by Ebola died.
After a few days my father passed away, I started experiencing them. Then, a week later, it was my mother. Then my sister and nephews started experiencing them.
This house is located in quarantine area, and 4 out of 8 affected by Ebola died. These 2 kids overcome the disease, as well as Ibrisa, who recovered in an isolation unit in Kinema.
The Nigerian government and the extremist group Boko Haram have agreed to an immediate ceasefire in Nigeria. The militants had aimed to impose an Islamic State in Nigeria through violent attacks against civilians and government targets. The ceasefire announcement raises hopes that the 200 girls abducted over 6 months ago will be released. A government spokesperson says the government remains focused on bringing the girls home. Russian President Vladimir Putin says he has agreed with Ukrainian leader Petro Poroshenko to continue gas supplies into Ukraine during the upcoming winter months. Putin also notes that Ukraine was short of money and urged Kiev's Western partners to help it overcome its cash deficit. According to Putin, Kiev still owes Moscow about $5.5 billion. Moscow is prepared to lower that debt by $1 billion. In regards to the November 2nd elections by separatist rebels in eastern Ukraine, no agreements between the 2 countries were released. That means the vote there will move ahead despite opposition by Kiev and its Western allies.
Just finished the negotiation. He cannot deliver any practical results for the gas issue, but we hope that before the 21st of October, before the meeting in Brussels of the delegation of the Ukraine, Russia and European Commission, we hope to find out the solution for the energy question. I can say that we have some certain progress, but left some details which need to be discussed.
The besieged Syrian city of Kobani has turned into a ghost town after massive U.S.-led airstrikes targeting Islamic State group targets. The ramped-up attacks have failed to halt the group's advances. Instead, chaos and intense clashes have intensified, forcing hundreds of thousands of civilians to flee into Turkey. The United Nations reports that only around 700 civilians actually remain in Kobani. In Kobani, the U.S. Air Force has carried out 53 airstrikes over the last 3 days alone. Since the beginning of the U.S.-led offensive in the region, a total of 230 airstrikes have been launched into Syria and 294 in Iraq. A British charity organization reports that in the UK, more than 1.6 million pensioners are still living in poverty because they haven't claimed benefits. The Age UK charity reports that 900,000 of the pensioners live in severe poverty. Hundreds of thousands of British pensioners struggle to pay for basic needs such as heat, fresh food, and warm clothes during the winter. 2.2 million do not receive tax benefits worth over $1,000, and almost 400,000 don't receive the housing benefits for which they are eligible. This week, thousands of movie theaters throughout Mexico will premiere Mexican director Luis Estrada's newest film, The Perfect Dictatorship. The movie has not been screened, but it has already created a storm of controversy. For more on the complaints and the praises, here's our correspondent Clayton Kahn.
We are waiting to do all the dirty jobs not even the negros wanted to do.
In a stab at Mexico's political class and its relationship to the media, the polemic director Luis Estrada once again causes controversy with his new film, The Perfect Dictatorship.
In this story, all the names are fictitious, the events suspiciously true. Anything that is familiar or similar to reality is not a mere coincidence.
The director, often censored for his satirical criticisms of the country's institutions of power, says the film reflects how the country's private media is used for political gain.
This is a model of positioning a politician that has basically become a formula.
Many argue that the film is also a tool for society to reflect on other systemic issues that they say are stinging more with the current political administration. Estrada made his fame with the film Herod's Law, a direct attack at Mexico's 71 years of one-party rule, and the film Hell, criticizing the country's bloody drug war strategy. Clayton Kahn, Telesur, Mexico City.
And thanks to Clayton, we have plenty more on those stories and others at our website, telesurtv.net/English. For Telesur English, I'm Cody Weddle. Hope you have a great weekend.